It's our year end. It depends residential real estate wrap up edition here, looking at Calgary area surrounding towns, the styles of homes, the price points. We're going to kind of look at everything today and look at kind of a year in review. I felt it was kind of fitting, so I'm just going to get right into it here. Last week the Alberta government came out and revised their budget, talking about the deficit being about 3 times higher from the 2020 projected deficit of 7.1 up to over about 23 million. We've also had, unemployment, job losses. So how is that affecting what is going on in Calgary and surrounding areas here? I think it's important to look at that we have definitely had strong sales growth in the real estate market here over the last couple of months. So people are kind of like trying to understand, and I think it's important to sort of sift through and make notice or mention that the inventories are probably some of the lowest that we've had in a long time, in a couple of years here. But there's other factors that we need to look at, and it's one of the reasons why the deficit is so low, are going to be so high in Alberta here, because we just don't have that revenue coming in to cover costs for services. So, when you're looking at things like the GDP growth is down substantially, unemployment is down. We're also having lack of migration. I think COVID's certainly playing a big factor in that. We've sort of started to see a bit of a downward trend on rental prices. So, maybe there's a bit of an increase in the supply. But having said that, with regards to the rents, it could be due to super attractive interest rates right now, and people taking advantage of coming out of that rental rental dwelling and going into home ownership. So it's I think there's some factors. So you kind of have to like sift through things a little bit to really understand what's going on with the market. And what I wanted to do today is just kind of look at, like why right now for certain price points, areas of Calgary and surrounding towns and cities is really attractive to be a seller, and how there's also certain price points where it's still a buyer's market. So I want to break into this and get rolling here. I've got some awesome stats and charts supplied by Krebs. So I want to thank them for being so awesome with that. So I'm going to get right into the Calgary stats here. And if you can see, we've got the Calgary stats here. You're looking at sales, year over year up 25%. Year to date, they're obviously down, obviously the first quarter, and going into the second quarter, we had limited sales, a little bit skittish there. New listings, this is one of the reasons why we're seeing a bit of a bump in prices right now, and demand. We're down 6.8% year over year. Our inventory levels are down 16%, yet our sales are up 25%. So that's certainly brought our months of supply down 33%, and that's a really big hit. So that's causing, certain price points to be uber popular right now, and obviously that price range up to about $550,000 right now is making a difference. So I'm just going to bump out of this guy here and just look at the market snapshot here. So as you can see, we were talking about sales being up 25% and the months of supply being down, 16% year over year there. Okay, what else can we talk about? I also want to take a look at prices by the style of homes here in Calgary. So, the detached sale price is up just about 3% there. In the, and to talk about that, the detached sale price is up, our sales are up, 26% year over year. The inventory levels you know, are sitting at about 3 months worth of supply right now. And, you know, that's certainly a huge improvement. Um, and where we're seeing the sharpest decline right now is product that's under 500,000. So if you got single family and under 500,000, you're probably faring fairly well to be classified in a seller's market. Interestingly, product that's over that $700,000 mark, it probably starts creeping back into a buyer's market in the segment there. Let's talk about semi-detached. Most popular price point for semi-detached is under that $400,000, and you can sort of see here that it's kind of getting close to cresting to that price point of popularity there. You know, it's up 1.3% year over year. You know, so that's certainly positive. The row houses, they've been staying pretty much consistent year over year there. We are starting to see mild gains. As you can see here, it's up 0.5%, but more or less similar to last year's levels. And then rounding out in the apartments in Calgary there, you know, we're seeing it slightly down from last year, which is positive because we were seeing trending month over month losses in value there. So hopefully that's starting to stabilize a little bit, but it's still definitely one of the most popular segments to drive a bargain if you are looking for that type of lifestyle. And so, you know, if we break down Quadrants prices by the city, this is just overall. You can sort of see that the South is certainly having popular momentum there. And it's due to its affordability there. In the West Side and City Center, you know, you sort of saw some of the higher price points in the city there. And it's no surprise that the average price point is down in some of those in the West Side, down 4.5% year over year. And in the West, the Northwest is still a popular segment, but again, you know, in terms of affordability, so that sort of helped to suppress prices a little bit year over year. But you know, more or less on a neutral stance. And in the Northeast there, we're starting to see some positive momentum in certain areas there, definitely in the Dales, your Taradales, your Martindales. Those are starting to see inventory levels drop significantly. And it's definitely helping on sales activity there. And then in the North, your newer communities, we're certainly starting to see a little bit of a jump there. And I think that's part and partial to some of the people that have been looking out to maybe heading out to areas like Airdrie there, and are starting to see prices, you know, come down in those communities. So they're not heading out if that's a affordability choice versus a lifestyle choice. So it's important to note that depending on the quadrant and the style for Calgary, it depends, and as it always has for as long as we've been doing this segment here. So let's talk about regional pricing here. I'm going to jump back into Airdrie here because we just finished talking about that. But Airdrie is certainly seeing a positive momentum right now versus this time last year. We were starting to see a saturation in market for all of Airdrie there, but that certainly turned around. We have, you know, the sales are up 15% year over year. You know, the listings are down, you know, months of supply, 2 months, resulting in, you know, detached seeing, you know, prices going up there. Chestermere is another city that's seeing positive gains right now with the average price of around 512,000. Okotoks, you know, is definitely is probably one of the strongest markets that we can look at right now. Just everything's super tight there. Sales activity is tight. It's really good, as well as the inventory levels have dropped. So you're seeing momentum in both of those styles there. And then in Cochrane, again, drop in inventory levels, but we're seeing a strong increase in supply there. So let's jump into Airdrie here. You know, here we can see that the sales are up. year over year, 45%. Keep in mind, as I was saying, though, that Airdrie had a real slow start at the beginning of the year. But we're also seeing a low listing inventory replenishment there. So even though our sales are up 45%, the inventory is down 32%. So that's making our months of supply super tight here at 2.23%. And you can see our months of supply is down 53%. So that's down almost from 5% to 2.25% there. What else can we talk about? Popular price points. Well, make sure that you're aware that 300,000 to the mid 400 is your popular price point in Airdrie there. In Cochrane, well, we're back to Airdrie here. And then, if we look at, here we can see that detached is still the most popular price point. With apartments having a small play in the sales there, but semi-detached and apartment being the most popular there. Okay, let's jump into Okotoks. As I was talking to you about, Okotoks is having a real strong shift right now in both sales and a lack of and the inventory shift there. So here we can see that we're having a drop in inventory of 51% year over year. Our months of supply, we talked about Airdrie being close to 5%. Okotoks was sitting over 6% there. So our listing inventory is down almost 40%. The sales are up 50%. It's just a strong market right now. And obviously the largest market in Okotoks being the driver of 400,000. So it's it's become both a lifestyle choice and as well as a price point. So that's really strong and it's good to see. Yeah, so that's kind of Okotoks there. So keep Okotoks on the radar. Also a really good spot for investments right now. People to invest there, rents seem to be very strong and stable. And then looking into Chestermere, or as my friend says, Chestermere, again, we're looking at sales being fairly strong, but our inventory is what's really down right now. Inventory is down 46%, and it's bringing that supply level, months of supply down, 64%. So where Chestermere was sitting, over 7% last year, it's certainly down, and it's bringing sort of everything into perspective there. Popular segment, again, no surprise, $400,000, and yeah, that's Chestermere. And then kind of rounding out, taking a look at Cochrane there, Cochrane, sort of lifestyle, accessibility to the mountains there. And you're getting newer homes out there. The most popular price point is, under $400,000 right now. So if you can find that product, that's great. Sales are up 51%. The months of supply has dropped 50% as well. So that just seems to be the huge mantra. So, moving forward into 2020, I certainly feel like we need to take a look at a couple of variables and look at, unemployment, job losses, and, compare that to how the market overall is faring in terms of economics. We need to be aware that that there's going to be opportunity coming down the pipeline. The mortgage payments benefit by the government, had ended in November there. We can probably anticipate, although this is just kind of all over the place right now, we can anticipate that we probably will start to see some foreclosures in the new year there, as people are no longer having the principal relief from the government there. So there could be some opportunity. What's happening though in December and January? Well, for the sellers, it's important to note that if you had an opportunity and prices probably or may not increase very much in the coming months, this is probably a great time to probably try and promote and sell your property if you haven't had success in the past. Just primarily due to the fact that there's such lack of inventory right now, and we're seeing that the amount of buyers is pretty stable. So if you're thinking about selling and you've been on the fence, this is probably the time. But what happens for the buyers? Well, alternatively to that, or being the devil's advocate, if there is a time to buy in any given months, December and January are my favorite times to have buyers out. The reason being is there's just that lack of competition out there coming into the holiday season. People are less apt to be out there to want to be looking for a house. But what about the opportunity of getting into your new home? And if you celebrate Christmas, having that Christmas tree up, in your new home, taking possession on the 20th or the 22nd. I think that that's probably one of the best gifts that you can give yourself. And then as well, also looking into January, that's a time where people, have overextended themselves. Maybe they've spent a little bit too much on the holiday season. And again, people are a little bit dormant on the buy process. So if there's a time for activity, I just think now is the time to look for deals. And if you're a seller, it's the opportunity to showcase your home and find a buyer. So specifically, if you're looking for a community and you want to know what's going on that, and you want to get a little bit more dialed in, and then getting uber focused or hyper focused, excuse me, on the style of the home and the price point, Built in Calgary team, we're your guys, and we can help you out on that to get you really dialed in and focused. Is now the time to sell, or should you be holding off? If you've got any questions, would love to hear from you. 403-809-3523. Enjoy the holiday season. We're coming to the end of 2020. I'm ready to be done with it. I'm sure everybody else is. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of the week. Cheers.